Okay, so aggregate address command in BGP. So what I have here is Internet 1 originates 4 prefixes loopbacks, and these are here, these 4 loopbacks, and they are advertised using network statement inside BGP, but they are summarized to one prefix that covers them all with a summary only command. And similarly, I have 4 prefixes originated. The next 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have subnets 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're advertised in BGP as such and also summarized to one prefix. As a result of that, the neighbors are receiving 2 summary routes, one for all those prefixes and one for all those prefixes. So if we look at our router 1 here real quick, we receive this prefix from 3 neighbors. This is the Internet 1, which is the preferred path based on the bracket here. We received it from router 3 and from iBGP session over router 2. So we also received that here because that prefix is advertised between those 2 guys as well. And similarly, we have the same prefixes advertised here. So if I ask for this command, only we have 2 neighbors, so all those summary routes are advertised by Internet 2, which is preferred, but also by 1.1.1.1, which is router 1 over iBGP. And the same thing here with that prefix, that is summary route. Okay, so now let's say realize we are Autonomous System 100, that the traffic is sent, okay, maybe this way, but what if we want to, let's say, advertise certain prefixes that are part of the summary routes so that the one particular exit point is preferred? For example, for the last prefix in the range Internet 1 is advertising, which is 100.10.3.0 network, I want always to be received from router 1, irrespective what they are doing with BGP manipulation. All those can be manipulated using local preference, for example. They can manipulate that router 2 is sending traffic, all traffic, towards all those destinations. It's easy to do that if we apply local preference higher to router 2 receive prefixes than router 1. What if AS100 does not like that? Do they have a way of making sure that R1, let's say, for selected networks is always sending traffic using R1? So I'm choosing here as an example that Internet 1 is going to be preferred path for prefixes towards 100.10.3.0, which this one originates, and Internet 2 is going to be preferred gateway always for prefix 110.7.0. So how can we do that selectively? So there's a way of doing that, because once we advertise those prefixes, if we do show IP BGP regular expression, what we originate ourselves, the more specific prefixes, as we know already, are suppressed. So there is a way of unsuppressing selected prefixes, all of them if I remove a summary only keyword. And that's why we can advertise this summary route plus all the remaining subnets. But what if I want to just only one from here, this one? And similarly, Internet 2 show IP BGP regular expression, what we originate ourselves are those 4 prefixes we're interested in here. So summary route is here, and we suppress the more specific routes. Now if I obviously remove summary only keyword, the ones that are more specific will also be advertised in addition to that, which might be my goal, really. But what if I want to advertise only this one with the /24 and this one with the /24? How do I do that? We have to use Unsuppress-Map in BGP. So on this one, I'm going to create IP prefix list, let's say selected, and I'll say permit 100.10.3.0. This is the one that is originated here. I will use route map. I'll call it unsuppress which permits match IP address prefix list selected, this particular one. So what I'm trying to do is match on the one I want to send in addition to the summary route. That's going to be unsuppressing those from BGP advertisement. And then if I go router BGP 100 for neighbor 10.1.10.1, use Unsuppress-Map called unsuppress. If I do that, I'm sending more specific route, and the rule of routing says prefer the longest match. So for that particular prefix here, R1 is always going to be preferred because R1 is receiving that now from the AS100. Let's go back to R1 and check that. So if I go here now, I need to probably clear IP BGP in just to speed up the process. There we go. And I am now receiving more specific route, which is part of that summary route. So obviously R2 now is getting that as well and prefers 1.1.1.1 for that. And I can do the same thing for the prefix that is originated by Internet 2, which I selected as 100.10.7.0. So I would just go ahead and say here on my Internet 2, let's create a matching prefix list, IP prefix list selected permits 100.10.7.0/24 specific one. I will use route map, which I'll also call unsuppress, which permits match IP address prefix list selected here, and I will apply this router BGP to my neighbor 10.1.20.2 Unsuppress-Map. So I'm unsuppressing that specific prefix called unsuppress. And again, I should probably go ahead and just to speed up the process, I'll go clear IP BGP inbound, and voila, I'm receiving that. And I'm preferred a gateway to that because right now this is more specific than the advertising aggregate. So R1, if I repeat that here, for that specific network prefers 2.2.2.2. And this is the way we can selectively unsuppress prefixes that are suppressed using aggregate command. Is this method going to work at all times? Of course not, because AS500 can still apply high local preference for this more specific prefix on R2, for instance, and still prefer that exit point. But since we are sending the longest and more specific prefix, maybe they will just realize that that's what we prefer to do and they will not apply that technique. However, this technique can always be overridden because the AS500 can always determine how the traffic is sent out of their system.